It's something that's come up for me time and time again over years and years and years, and more recently, due to where we're at as a collective in terms of what's going on around us externally, as well as being very, very connected and in tune to what potentially we are going through on the inside. And that is the nervous system, your nervous system. How is it doing? Are you listening to it? More importantly, just like our physical body, right? Our nervous system is constantly there in the background doing its thing for us. However, we are living in crazy, crazy times. We know this. And therefore, we are getting a massive disruption to our nervous system. We just are. And it's really for each of us and each of your own nervous systems to let you know what best it responds to calm that baby down. Now, I'm bringing nervous system up because I traditionally am a very anxious person, always have been, most likely always will be. Let me change that. I feel anxiety rather than, because you are not your anxiety. When we say I am, it kind of feels like that's what you are and it's who you are as a person. You feel anxious. I feel anxious. I felt anxious all my life. Movement has been something that's helped with my anxiety personally. Therefore, I know when my nervous system is in disarray, okay, because it speaks to me. Now, how my nervous system speaks to me is going to be different to how your nervous system speaks to you. Hi, Susan. And what you do to tend and take care of your nervous system is going to be different to the next person. So I've been feeling this anxiety, less so than ever, because what I've done is I've edited out the things that I know ramp up my nervous system. So personally for me, it's alcohol. So at the moment, the beginning of this year, I very spontaneously, it wasn't a big plan, but I actually have taken alcohol out of my week. So it's been about 2.5 weeks I haven't had any alcohol, because I know that elevates my heartbeat and it comes out a lot. My nervousness and system flares up. I feel it quite a lot and more dramatically at night and in the first part of the day. So thank you. Oh, thanks, Susan. It was so amazing to share. I was on a talk this morning with the incredible Mark Shayler sharing about Free Your Spine, and that's the first time in maybe a very long time that I've shared Free Your Spine and just shared and talked and had conversation outside of talking with my besties for a very long time and outside of teaching. So it was an absolute pleasure and honour to be invited by the one and only Mark Shayler to have convo with him. And it got me thinking, because actually in the lead up to this morning talking with Mark, my nervous system was nervous. So last night I was nervous about coming and doing that talk with Mark, because I know that it requires me to be a bit more vulnerable now to share the story behind why I do what I do, which is because I'm a nervous, anxious person and I always have been. And rather than hide that, now I'm sharing that because I think it's useful information to know that people are not alone. We all have nervous systems, and at any given moment in your life, they might get more nervous than they were a few years ago, and that's cool. The reason why, just moving on to the connection between nervous system and spine and the movements we do in Free Your Spine, is massive. There's a massive connection there, because your central nervous system runs down, forgive me if you know this, but it's good to be reminded of it. Your central nervous system runs down the center of your body and is protected and supported by your spinal column, for one. Now, when you are motioning your spine, specifically with all the movements we do in the method, you are sending that, you're lighting up your central nervous system for one. You're circulating and sending the blood along that central glorious highway. And that CNS system that we're lighting up specifically through the spinal movements that we do then talks into and connects into the world of what we say nervous plexus, so into the whole bigger wide world of your nervous system, which then swims into the rest and digest nervous system, which is the parasympathetic aspect of your nervous system, right? So by way of moving through the pathway of your spinal column, which protects, supports and serves your CNS, central nervous system, you are then communicating with more depth, with more reach and extension into that parasympathetic nervous system. So if you are feeling a little bit, however, your anxiety, I would say more people have anxiety than not, especially where we're at in the world right now with everything. Explore what works for you, and you might already have loads of things that work for you. The one thing that has consistently worked for me is movement, and more specifically is this spinal movement for the rationale and reasons of communicating into your nervous system. Sometimes, personally for me, like the big number one that a lot of people refer to when they are feeling anxious and there's disruption in the nervous system is breath. Sometimes breath works for me, as in like conscious breathing, just lying on the ground on your back and breathing. Sometimes I need to action more, if that makes sense. I need to move, I have to move my nervous system, if that makes sense. Sometimes when I'm going too much concentrated with my breath, I freak out a little bit more. Okay, so it's always about, there's not a cookie cutter approach with anything, and I'm definitely not one of those people that wants to preach this way over that way. It's about finding what works for you. But I just wanted to come on and share the direct connection to moving the spine in relation to lighting up your nervous system, and then how that extends and reaches and connects into that rest and digest nervous system, which is the parasympathetic. So that's all. That's all I wanted to share. It's important to really listen in, and rather than, we want these things to go away when they feel uncomfortable, because it is uncomfortable if your anxiety manifests in a way that your heart is palpating out through your skin, and you in some cases when it's so much and it's really going for it, it's a bit scary. It can feel like you're almost like having a heart attack. That's been my experience. So this is where movement can really come in and help and support and empower your nervous system, liberate the stuff that doesn't feel good, move through it to break free of it, rather than kind of hoping it will disappear and, not listen in. So I am now, having said that, going to go and do some spinal movements. I'll be sharing over the coming days and weeks and this year a lot more around the importance of moving the spine, opening the hips, and why we do that in terms of our systems as well, more of our systems around the body, so the digestion, the respiratory, the cardiovascular, the cognitive, and all of that. And I really recommend having a couple of minutes before you kickstart your day with the whole jazz of everything that we need to do. And if you've got kids or you've got dependents or people to look after, just take the time to look after yourself, because looking after yourself, you're looking after your loved ones too. So any questions? Hi Tish. Susan, thank you. I'm really keen to know more about the Free Your Spine movements. Yes, it can be a little bit of a dive in. If you want to take a dive in, I invite you on the page. There's so many videos. I used to go live a lot, sharing Free Your Spine stuff. And then I didn't. I kind of got really burnt out from doing so much. But if you're familiar with the cat, when you go down onto all fours and you are moving through the two curves of your spine of arching and flexing, when you extend and when you round, I take the cat as a foundational movement and bring that into a lot of the repertoire that I lead people through. But a big thing about the movements that we do is embracing movement planes that often get forgotten about. So if you imagine, when we're sitting, we're very forward facing. When we're working, we're very forward facing. When we're talking to people, they're in front of us, and again we're front facing. So with Free Your Spine, I really get us to move in the three-dimensional realm of the space by asking the body just to come into like twists and circles and sways and wriggles. And the movements we do are really a case of getting quite creative and it's a very experiential thing that we go through with Free Your Spine. So it's really about, you guys have to feel it. And then once you feel it, your body feels it, and you let yourself go with it, really, and you kind of get lost in it. So I encourage you to have a look at the videos on this page. Go and do a couple of them, see what feels good, see what really aligns to your body and your mind. And also you can join the Free Your Spine Method Facebook group as well, and I share lots on there. Okay, thanks for listening. Any questions, feel free to drop it down there in the comments box. Happy to answer if anything else comes up. Have a great rest of your day. I'm gonna go move myself. Ciao. Don't worry about the smiley faces. Yeah. We were just talking about nervous system running around the UK and how that connects into moving your spine. So I'm going to chime off, but feel free to have a listen to that. I'll post it to my page. And yeah, I'll be sharing a lot more over the coming days, weeks, all about the body, all about the spine and hips and why we specifically move them and keep them supple and feeling free. Take care. Bye.